Today was another one of those classic Westminster spectacles.
No one he can blame for this dud deal except himself. At the budget, Labour were congratulating themselves for having the first female Chancellor, instead of ensuring the country had someone actually qualified to do the job.
Prime Minister's questions, where our so-called leaders are meant to face the music and give straight answers to the pressing issues of the day. And what did we get? Keir Starmer, once again, dodging questions like a moth avoiding a flame. It's almost laughable if it weren't so utterly depressing. When he does open his mouth, it's all gloss and no substance. And worse still, when he actually manages to say something, it's either a blatant lie or a feeble attempt to justify the indefensible. Today, Starmer was called out on a litany of failures, each one more damning than the last. First up, the Tulip Siddiq scandal, a resignation steeped in corruption allegations, the kind of mess that would shame any serious political party. But no, Keir flashed that cheesy grin, brushing it off like a minor inconvenience.
Mr. Speaker, at a time of turmoil in the markets, the Prime Minister was distracted by the crisis around the former City Minister. What does it tell us about his judgment that yesterday he said he was saddened that his close friend resigned? This was an anti-corruption minister under criminal investigation for corruption. Mohammed Yunus, the Nobel Prize winner advising Bangladesh, said London properties gifted to the former city minister may be proceeds of robbery. So, will the Prime Minister offer Bangladesh the full support of our National Crime Agency in ensuring that any properties bought with stolen funds are properly investigated?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the former City Minister referred herself the independent advisor. He found, as she well knows, there was no breach of the code. He knows that he found there was no wrongdoing, and the former minister fully cooperated. She referred herself a week ago Monday. I got the report yesterday, and she resigned yesterday afternoon.
Then there was the Mauritius deal, an absolute train wreck of a pact that looks like it was cobbled together by amateurs with no thought for its disastrous consequences.
30-year guilt. The Chancellor is apparently promising to be ruthless in reducing spending. Let me suggest something that he should cut. There is no way that we should be giving up British territory in Chagos. He is rushing a deal which will be disastrous and which will land taxpayers with a multi-billion-pound bill. Why does the Prime Minister think British people should pay to surrender something that is already ours?
Mr. Speaker, we inherited a situation where the long-term operation of a vital military base was under threat because of legal challenges. The negotiations were started under the last government. The then Foreign Secretary came to this House to say why he was starting negotiations and what he wanted to achieve. And he said the aim was to, quote, ensure the continued effective operation of the base. That is precisely what this deal has delivered.
Mr. Speaker, there is no one he can blame for this dud deal except himself.
And let's not forget Rachel Reeves's budget, a car crash in slow motion that's left the UK economy in tatters. Businesses are teetering on the brink, and ordinary people are being ground down by rising costs, while this government stumbles around like it's got blindfolds on. Ah, yes, Rachel Reeve. The Chancellor that Starmer and his crew proudly hailed as a trailblazer, the first woman in the role. Well, good for her. But does breaking barriers excuse being completely out of your depth? Kemi Badenoch doesn't think so. In Parliament, he let Starmer and Reeves have it with both barrels. He rightly pointed out that this government seems more interested in ticking diversity boxes than actually putting qualified people in the right positions. And let's be honest, he's absolutely spot on. What this country needs isn't just symbolic firsts. It's competence, plain and simple.
At the budget, Labour were congratulating themselves for having the first female Chancellor, instead of ensuring the country had someone actually qualified to do the job. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister claims he has full confidence in the Chancellor, but the markets clearly do not. Yesterday, the Chancellor repeated her promise to have just one budget per year to provide businesses with certainty. The talk in the city is that she can't meet her fiscal rules and there will need to be an emergency budget. So does the Prime Minister stand by the Chancellor's commitment that there will be only one budget this year?
Prime Minister.
She'll be pleased to know the Chancellor will be in place for many, many years to come. She'll outstrip them. Mr. Speaker, if we all thought the politics was about cheap points, I could criticise their chancellors, but I don't have enough time to go through all of the chancellors that they had. We have one budget, that's what we're committed to, strong fiscal rules, and we'll stick to them, unlike the party opposite.
Let's face facts. Businesses are collapsing, workers are struggling to make ends meet, and uncertainty looms over the nation like a dark cloud. And Keir Starmer? He's out here delivering the same tired speeches, recycled soundbites that do nothing but obscure the glaring failures of his leadership and the chronic dysfunction of his party.
Mr. Speaker, he did not answer the question about the National Crime Agency. No answer to investigating dodgy Labour ministers, just as last week he didn't want an inquiry that might expose dodgy Labour councils. The Prime Minister knowingly appointed a convicted fraudster as his Transport Secretary. The anti-corruption minister he had full confidence in only days ago resigned yesterday in disgrace. He is negotiating a secret deal to surrender British territory, and taxpayers in this country will pay for the humiliation. Now it turns out his government may write a cheque to compensate Jerry Adams. This is shameful. We left him the fastest growing economy in the G7. In just 6 months, under his leadership, it's been taxes up, borrowing up, mortgage rates up, and that's not all. Business confidence is down, jobs are down, growth is down. Can the country afford 4 more years of his terrible judgments?
Mr. Speaker, among that barrage of complete nonsense.
So, I'll ask you this. How much more of this can we take?
But as for her claim and her nonsense, they crashed the economy. Mr. Speaker, I got a letter this week from a Tory voter in a Labour seat. I hope they don't mind me saying who it was. It was Liz Truss. Mr. Speaker, it wasn't written in green ink, but it might as well have been. She was complaining that saying she'd crashed the economy was damaging her reputation. It was actually crashing the economy that damaged her reputation.
How long are we going to let leaders like Starmer treat the British people as pawns in their hollow games of political theatre? Enough is enough.
Mr. Speaker, what have we heard? All they've got is complaining. No defence for their sorry record. They don't even acknowledge it. No ideas, no policy. They're like a blank piece of paper, blowing hopelessly in the wind. No wonder the country put them in the bin.
Fed up with the same old politics? Like, share, subscribe, and join those who demand the truth. Britain deserves better.